UIC. Freedom the people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The one that free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson speaking. We're having a special show tonight, which is called The Money Doctor. So I hope you can hear me clearly. Usually we seem to have some kind of mic challenges to begin, but I hope you can hear tonight. Let me know if you can hear loud and clear before we get into tonight's show, which promises to be different from any of the other ones that you have heard before. It's going to be quite different. So let me know if you can hear me. Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me loud and clear? Wonderful. Thank you, Douglas Harper, for that quick mic check. Wonderful lion rule. This is one of the few moments when I have come on and everything is nice and crisp and clear. I hope my lighting is good tonight as well. Let me know if you can see me clearly, if the lighting is good. And I hope you all have yourself or had yourself a wonderful day today. It is now 6:32 p.m. here in Jamaica, St. Elizabeth. And the weather is a bit cool. We had some rain earlier today, and the grass is green, and the sunshine is just going beyond the horizon. Give us a nice little sunset coming in. So welcome, Rosemary King from the UK. I know it's late for you over there, but good to see you on. Tracy Blake, good to see you as well. Nice to see you all. It's been a while since here. I came on last night briefly because I was doing a show with the transport operators last night. That went very well, by the way. We had a lovely chat about the public transportation system here in Jamaica, and answered questions and dealt with an array of subject matters. But tonight, our subject is the root of all evil. And I'm coming to you as the money doctor. That's one of the names that I earned from my understanding and appreciation of the subject of money. So once again, good evening and welcome to this first episode of The Money Doctor. My name is Joseph L. Patterson, and I'll be your host for today. With me today is Naika Williams, who will be my co-host. It should have been KEVAUGN Harris, but something came up, but he wasn't able to join us today. So let me bring on Naika so she can join me in this first part of the conversation. Welcome, Naika. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Good afternoon, everyone. So happy that you guys are on here, and we do hope to have a fun discussion today. As Mr. Patterson said, this one is a bit different from what we usually do, but it is somewhat educating as well as fun. So please enjoy the live and don't forget to share.
Excellent. So together we will examine the subject of money. how it works, how to manage it, and how to make it work for you instead of you having to work for money all the days of your lives. In this episode of The Money Doctor, we look at the biblical statement that says, the love of money is the root of all evil. And we're going to question this statement by discussing what is the root of all evil. Is it really money? Is it the love of money? What is the root of all evil? So you can pick it up from there, Naika.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, uh, now let's get into our topic. Mr. Patterson, what do you think is the real root of all evil?
Sure. But before we do that, I want to just say thanks to all of you for joining us today. So please do us a favor now and share this live with all your friends and family, as well as like, know how you feel about the episode of The Money Doctor. As you go through this, feel free to share, give us your comments and so on. Also, don't forget to subscribe and to hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of The Money Doctor or anything that comes on UIC Liberty TV. So to your question, Naika, you want to know what I think about the Bible statement that the love of money is the root of all evil. I must begin. I don't claim to be an expert on the Bible at all. I think the author observed that people will do anything to get the power of money, to get their hands on money, because money, you can buy things, you can buy even people, you can buy airtime, you can buy friends, you can buy a lot of things if you have money. So some will work themselves even to death for money. Some will steal, some will lie, some will even kill to get access to money. The if you think about it, the conflicts we have in our lives, even in marriages, is money related. It's this desire for people to get more of it, to access it. So this reality, no doubt, would lead anyone to think or to say the love of money is the root of all evil. But I don't think so. I don't think the love of money is the root of all evil. There is something more fundamental than money that drives men and women to do evil things to themselves and to others in order to access that money.
That's an interesting perspective. Please tell us more. So, if the love of money is not the root of all evil, please tell us what is.
Okay, Naika, to understand what is the root of all evil, we first need to take a minute to understand money itself. Then to see if it or the love of it or the root or the foundation of the evils we see in society. Now, believe it or not, money is an invention. Money is an invention like the invention of the wheel or the invention of the cell phone or the invention of computers so money is an invention. It's an invention that was developed by mankind to make it easier to trade our goods and services with each other. If you think about it, before money was created, how did we operate? We operated on a system of barter where I have eggs and you can make clothes, you're a dressmaker. And, so I come to you and say, Naika, I have 12 dozen eggs. Can you make a shorts for my child? And you say to me, okay, for a shorts, you have to give me 2 dozen eggs and I'll make a shorts for your child. And so we traded. Now the problem is that with barter, you always have to have what is called a double coincidence of wants. What that means is always need to have what each other want in the right quantity, the right time. So if both of us don't have what the other person wants at the same time and in the right quantity, then we don't trade. So I find barter was very inefficient. It slowed down economic growth, and most people were self-sufficient. They built their own good little homes for the most part. They had their own little farm. The mother learned to sew for the most part for everybody. The dad learned to do almost everything, all the mechanical aspects around the house and the yard and the farm. So life was fairly simple and crude because trade was restricted. And outside of trade, what people did was to fight. So you would have plunder. So a tribe or a group and take from the other person by force. Now, those are not the best way for you to build a civilized society. So in order for us to have a civilized society, we needed something that would allow us to trade. Income's money. So man created money to solve the double coincidence of one's problem by having an intermediary that everybody in the community or the country would accept as payment for their goods and services. So that device, that tool that was created had to be something which was acceptable by all. It had to be something which is easily divided into small portions. It had to be fungible, meaning it's always the same no matter where you go, right? So $1 in my $1 in your pocket is the same in Kingston as it is in St. Mary. So it had to be fungible, and that's what fungible means, consistent throughout. A gold coin might serve that purpose, or a silver coin might serve that purpose. But that was a great invention. Without the invention of money, our lives would be fairly miserable today because we'd still be living a very subsistent form of living, and you would not have much in the way of new technologies and new products and new development to be living the way we are today. So money is a massive change in the way mankind behave. So notice here though that money is simply a tool. It's an invention that facilitates trade, making trade easier, multiplying the velocity of trade. And the more you have more trade is the faster the economy grow. The faster the economy grow is the more you have in terms of innovation, inventions, and increase in wealth and the quality of life for everybody. So if you think about it, if money is serving such a very important role as into advance mankind, improving trade, increasing our chances of becoming wealthier, and wealth can be defined in many ways. For example, we today, most of us who think we're poor are wealthier than kings. Just imagine, if you go to one of the palaces and a king used the washroom, there was no chain for him to flush and the toilet just flushed. He had to use a cruder method of cleaning himself or having one of his servants clean him. So it's really not so nice. But today we have, many of us at least, have better sanitary conditions, nicer homes. Some of us have cars. Life is much better today than it was in the ages when barter was the only way of us doing things. So, certainly not. Does the love of any invention, whether it's money, wheel, or a cell phone, make it evil? No. To love an invention is to appreciate its value. If you love the invention of the wheel, it's because you appreciate how much easier the invention of the wheel has made it for us to move things around the farm, eventually make carts with 4 wheels, eventually having horse-drawn carriages, eventually having the Model T car, and now today having nice, well ergonomically designed vehicles with soft padded seats and all of that. So if you love any invention, it will be because you really appreciate its value and understand how it has made your life easier, and you have this, wonder, how people ever lived on it in the first place. So just like the cell phone today, money is a full invention, and if you love it, you will really be appreciating it and not doing what people think as evil because of the love of money. So the evil that you're seeing is not because people love or appreciate money. There's another reason, and I'm going to get to that later. Back to you, Naiko.
Wonderful. So now that you've explained that aspect of it, what is the root of all evil if the love of money isn't it?
It feels like I'm beating around the bush, doesn't it? Now, the root of all evil, believe it or not, is, listen carefully, the root of all evil is the lack of knowledge. It is the lack of knowledge that causes people to do some of the things that you see us doing. People are ignorant about money, and as such, they make all kinds of bad decisions to get it and keep it. If you don't understand something, you may misuse it. So, for example, a person who doesn't understand health, they may not eat properly. They may know how to chew. They may be able to taste something and taste the lovely sugary taste or the nice oily taste or whatever it is. But the lack of knowledge may cause them to do severe injury to themselves, even though they're doing something quite natural, which is to eat. So but this lack of knowledge of the human body and how the body works and how to care for it can cause you to literally of to death. And you may pass this on to you, and you may teach them the same bad habits. Many Jamaicans, for example, don't drink enough water because they grew up in an environment where, here's a box juice or whatever, or a soda, as opposed to being groomed to love water regularly, which would properly hydrate the system and flush it. They may grow up eating packaged foods, cheese sticks and biscuits and whatever, and so become acclimatized to that, as opposed to eating the beautiful fresh fruits and vegetables which we could grow here, and enjoying a healthy lifestyle that includes physical activities, as opposed to being sedentary, watching TV or playing video games or whatever. So, not because you have the ability to use and do something mean that you understand what you're doing with it and it is not causing great harm. So the way people relate to money is actually a byproduct of their understanding of it. So if you understand money the way it should be understood, your attitude towards it, your behavior towards it, how you use it, how you interpret it, how you interpret the global information coming to you will change dramatically. Which is why, for example, rich people, live in a particular circle. Very, very rich people. I'm not talking those who just get rich suddenly through maybe gambling or luck or something, but those who have long-term intergenerational money. They send their children to different schools because they can't afford for their children to learn the wrong things about money, because that will be disastrous for the family's enterprise, right? So most of us who go to ordinary school, we learn ordinary things. We don't learn the things we need to know to be able to effectively manage money and use it. Yeah. So if you don't understand that money is just a tool that should make trade easier and store the value of your labor so that you can buy the value of other people's labor, you'll be tricked by those who are in a position to exploit your ignorance. For example, many people are happy to hear that government will give out free money, and they're excited and saying, yay, and they will even bang on the doors and say, please, give out free money. And they have no idea that what that is going to do is, after the free money settles down, they'll have high inflation. They don't understand why. They now just start to feel the pain of inflation, and then they'll bang the door again and say, do something about this. And the government might do something about it, do something also disastrous. And then they move from one disaster to another disaster to another disaster, never understanding what's really happening. And so I believe that the real root of evil in our society is a lack of knowledge. the more you have an educated, a truly educated population that really understands economics, for example, understand their bodies, understand human behavior, understand human relationships, understand how money works, the more enlightened your society is, the less crime and violence you will have, the less amount of evils you'll see in that society. And that's a fact. You take a country like Singapore, for example, where the average citizen in Singapore is much brighter than the brightest person in Jamaica, the average citizen, because their government invested heavily in making sure that they have a very, very bright society. The people here are very, very informed, very aware, highly educated from the basic school level all the way through to university. And that makes a big difference. So the ignorance about money or economics is what leads people into all manner of lies and stealing and killing to get money, instead of realizing how they can actually create value, how they can make money, and how they can make money work for them. You don't have to work very hard for money if you understand money and know how to make money work for you, at least on a micro level. If you don't understand what it means to trade value for value, this is key. If that concept is foreign to you, what does it mean to trade value for value? If you don't understand that, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, particularly when it comes on to you even making political decisions and voting, because you're going to be thinking the wrong thing. And all of us today know that Jamaica have some really bad mentalities, or people have some seriously dysfunctional mentalities, which is crippling our society. But where did that come from? It came from their education, from the influence of their political leaders, that handing down through their parents, the other influences in society, the radio, the television, giving misinformation about money. Unfortunately, you don't see anything popping up on your Facebook page saying, oh, that's misinformation about money. Oh, that's misleading. Because the goal of a subset of our society is not to ensure you understand money, because the moment the vast majority of us understand money, the trick is over. All the tricks that they've been playing on us would be over. They will not be able to trick us with boom and bust economics. They'll not be able to trick us with artificial inflation and devaluation and foreign exchange manipulation. All of that would be gone, because now the people will be too aware, too knowledgeable for local politicians or global elites or local elites to trick us. So you would understand the meaning of trading value for value. You'd understand how markets work, the demand and supply equation. You'll understand what causes inflation, artificial or natural. You'd understand why you have deflation in some cycles in the economy, why you have inflation in others. You'd understand exchange rates, what really drives them. And so you'd be able to make profoundly more advanced decisions, and politicians would have no power over you. They couldn't trick you with emotional statements anymore, because now you'll be able to see through everything and say, that's not going to work. So if you don't understand what it means to trade value for value, if you don't understand markets, you don't understand inflation rate, you do not understand money, and will not be among the 10% who owns and control 90% of the wealth in our country and the world. It's that simple. Back to you.
Okay, so I did hear you mention making money work for you. How do you create money and make it work for you, sir?
Very good question, and not a very easy one to answer, but let's think about it. How do you create money? If you think about it, money, remember, money is just a tool, right? It's an intermediary. So a lot of people spend their time trying to get as much money as possible. That's a mistake. Your goal should not be to try to get as much money as possible. Your goal should be to understand what causes money to flow to you and what causes money to flow away from you. So money is created by, first of all, understanding people. Okay? If you can create as much money as you want by understanding people and figuring out ways to add value to their lives or solving their problems if they want those problems to be solved, or if you can ignite their imagination to desire to have those problems solved. So you want to create money, the first thing you have to do is spend some time understanding people. Number one, there's a great book that will help you to do that. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an eye-opener. It will help you to understand human behavior, human dynamics. And then once you understand that, start to look for ways in how you can add value to people's lives. Okay? The more problems you can solve and the more people you can satisfy is the more money you will make. But remember, the money is just a measurement of how much satisfaction you bring to people. An athlete, for example, works very hard to perfect his or her game. By doing that, he brings or she brings a lot of satisfaction to people. So just the other day, you saw Sharika Jackson, and you saw Elaine Thompson, and you saw Fraser Price, and prior to that, you saw Usain Bolt and Blake and others. These athletes spend a lot of time working on their game. Why? They're trying to perfect a particular art, a particular skill. And the more they perfect that skill, they can appeal to a segment of society that wants to see those skills on display, and a segment of society that wants to capitalize on their success to market their products. So, because they worked hard and perfected a skill that very few are willing to work that hard to perfect, they command a higher income level than the average person. So Usain Bolt, by not partying when his friends are partying, by waking up early and training hard when his friends are sleeping in, by not taking certain things into his body because he knows that it's going to affect his health, things that other people are enjoying on a daily basis, he had to deny himself in order to be fit and ready to perform at an optimal level. Having done that, he has brought people who want to see somebody running under 10 seconds in a 100-meter dash. And it brings great joy to the Jamaican people to see him do this. It gives them pride in being Jamaican, to see Jamaica has the fastest man or the fastest woman. And this is enormous value that he's giving to us to make us feel good about ourselves. And in turn, because we give him so much attention, others pay him a lot of money, to give him a lot of deals to market their products, whether it's Digicel or shoes or whatever. And so he makes a lot of money. He calls. Now, another person may choose to, they not do anything significant in their area of expertise. They may not choose to study hard, master a skill more, deny themselves some of the pleasures that they could have, like partying late or eating bad or not exercising. They don't give up any of those things. So they enjoy the easy, simple pleasures of life immediately, and they make no real sacrifices to build or create a product or a service or to perform on the job in such a way that would make them outstanding. And so because of that, then the amount of money they make that flows to them will be small. Now, I needed to understand this. All of this takes time. Usain Bolt didn't suddenly go from making minimum wage to making billions. It takes time. So we're not talking about overnight sensation. There's no overnight sensation. We never heard about him when he was suffering, when he was earning minimum wage or no wage, when he was putting in the effort, when he had no idea how it would turn out. We didn't hear about that. We weren't following him then. We only start to follow him when the product, the outcome of that great effort that he was putting in over those years behind the scenes, when we never know him, then we're now seeing him, and we're seeing him now and praising him years before when he was in the dungeon. So you today, in the same position, you may be working in a grocery store, packing bags right now. Um, what are you doing in that position? Are you packing bags very well? Are you doing it with a smile? Are you serving customers in a way that make them feel so good that you pack their bag today, that they might even want to give you a tip because of how nice you are in packing their bags? Are you on the same job looking around in the space, the supermarket you're working in, to see how can you use and value to your employer? And so as you add value in that environment, it's preparing you to be the Usain Bolt down the road. But you need to start adding the value now. You need to, when your friends decide that they're going to steal from the employer, you say, no, I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to steal from my employer. When your friends decide to slack off, and you say, no, I mean, I have a 1 hour lunch or 45 minutes, or I'm going to read on time. When your friends look for opportunities to hide, between the shelves and not do any work and stay on their phones, you say, no, I'm being paid to do my job. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to do extra. I'm going to make sure to clean it up. If I see a customer looking confused, I'm going to ask them if I can help them. If I see a cashier making a mistake that is going to cost her, I point out to her and get her to, make the correction before the customer leaves. Whatever it is, I'm going to add value which I'm not being paid for. Oftentimes people want a raise of pay. Well, for you to get a raise of pay, the best way to do that is to do more than what you're being paid for today. And then your pay will be increased. Now, I'm equating this little supermarket job to the athlete Usain Bolt, because I want you to see that it's very much the same. Whatever position you're in today, whatever job you're doing, whatever station of life you're in, if you just focus on adding more value to the lives of the people around you, you'll be amazed to see how much value that brings back to you. Okay? So a minimum wage earner does not bring a lot of value to a lot of people, and as such gets in return a very limited wage. I remember when I was a minimum wage earner making $6.85 an hour in a restaurant in Canada, even though I was an engineer from Jamaica. I had a good job here before I migrated, and I was working $6.85 an hour. But I learned very quickly the importance of doing more than what I was paid for. And so because of that, very quickly, I moved from being somebody mopping the floor to a cashier, to an inventory clerk, to an accounting clerk, to being considered for assistant manager before I got hired as a junior accountant in another company, and then moved up the ladder to becoming a director of finance in the government. But at each of those stages, if you want to move fast and move far, then you have to do what Usain Bolt did. You have to commit to doing the things that the other people around you aren't doing. You cannot afford to follow the 90% if you want to be among the 10% who are the top earners, who are the people with value. You have to disassociate yourself from following the 90%. Respect, talk to them, be a friend to them, but you have to change your mindset and move into the category of thinking like the 10%, behaving like the 10%. And remember, they didn't start out at being in the 10%. Many of them started out being in the, and then figured out that the way to escape that, the way to create money, the way to make money, the way to increase is to do more service, offer greater service, better quality service to the rest of the people around you. And that's why I said before, you need to understand people, and you need to focus adding value to their lives. So if you live, you have to give more value to your customers, and everybody is your customer. So whoever you have to deal with in the workplace is your customer. Your boss is your customer. Your coworker is a customer. The customer who walks in is your customer. So treat them the way they must be treated in order for them to realize how valuable you are. Yeah. So whatever field you have picked, whatever you're working, wherever you happen to be, even if you don't like the job right now that you're in, master it. Yeah. And give high quality service, and you will be rewarded one way or another with great returns. It might not even be the same employer. It might be a scout who spots you and then says, huh, or, what you think is an accident or chance will happen, but it's because you would have prepared yourself by mastering whatever field you find yourself in today, as long as it is honest work. Let's remember this. Write this down. Your economic value is determined by the demand for what you do, how well you do it, and how difficult it is to replace you. Remember that. Your economic value, we're not talking about your human value. We're all valuable before God. But your economic value, how much you are worth economically in dollars and cents, is determined by the demand for what you do, how well you do it, and how difficult it is to replace you. If you make sure that you're doing something that people demand, people want to see a fast runner. So that's the demand. But unlike other runners, he did it very well by training harder, building better techniques, and making sacrifices that others may not make. And so that made him an outstanding athlete. And it was very difficult to replace him. If you make it difficult to replace you by being of such high value to your employer or high value to your customers, then you are going to receive the economic reward in return. What do you say to that, Ms. Williams?
I completely agree with you. I actually had a question as it pertains to money, since that's the topic we're on. Do you think that a person can actually have too much money, since that phrase is one that persons tend to associate with the word greed? And if we're speaking biblically here, greed is one of the seven sins. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Well, I don't think there is such thing as having too much money. Money will simply follow. Money is like bees and honey, yeah, or bees and nectar or sugar. If you put down, if I walk out into my apiary right now and I put down a small bowl of honey or syrup or sugar and water, the bees are going to come towards it. If you go out there and you put down a bowl of lime water, you're not going to go there, right? Now, the only reason why you caught so many bees coming to you is because you're offering something that so many bees want. You offer a product or a service to the market that everybody wants, they're going to come to you. So let's take, for example, Bill Gates, who many people love to hate, barring some stuff that his name is associated with right now. Let's look at what happened in the past when he was a young man. As a young man, he developed and put forward to us a suite of products called Microsoft Office, which included Word, Excel, PowerPoint, database, and so on. Now, others could have done the same thing, but he was able to bring it together and package it well and market it effectively so that a lot of people wanted what he put together. Because of that, he became a multi-billionaire, right? The same Steve Jobs with Apple. He created a product that others want. The same thing for Jeff Bezos. He created Amazon and put it together. Nobody saw him when he was sleeping on the floor in his office, when he was making risky decisions that could leave him broke forever. But he did it. Now, because of that, a lot of money flowed to him. Now, I can't say he has too much money because all of that money that flows to him is as a result of a product that he produced and put it to the market, and people say, yes, we want that product. And so they swarm to him because of that. Now, what he chooses to do with that money now will be a reflection of his character. What kind of person? Some people, when they get wealthy, for example, you see athlete, let's say a great boxer. Somebody might be a great boxer, and yes, people wanted to see people beating people up in the ring. So they watch it, he becomes famous, he gets a lot of money, and then he starts to womanize, he stopped training properly, he whatever, and then of course he comes crashing down. You've seen that with many athletes and many entertainers and others, right? You also have some who make a lot of money and then they become insane about it and they decide to do crookish things. So now they become like Bernie Madoff, for example. He had everything made. He had it. There's no need for him to scam people. But even though he had all that money, he decided to scam people. Now, here's the beauty about money. Money doesn't change you. It simply reflects who you are. So if you are an evil person and you get a lot of money, you'll do evil things. If you are a good person, a decent person, a person of character, and you have a lot of money, the way you spend it will demonstrate consistency as well.
Okay, so why do you think persons always convince other people the root of evil is money? Why do you think they convince persons that?
I, you know, I don't know for sure, but one thing I can tell you, those some people who have a lot of money and who control, they have a vested interest to keep you ignorant about money. The more ignorant people there are about money, is the more evil people can become rich from that ignorance. And so that is why, for example, in over the 78 years of our government controlling, the two major parties controlling our government, they have never sought to change our school curriculum so that you leave school having a complete understanding of money and the monetary system and how to make optimal financial decisions. That tells me that they do not want you to learn that. What they want you to learn is simply focus on passing some subjects to get a job and to work the rest of your life for money without ever understanding money, so that those who keep you at a level that makes you a servant for life.
Right, I completely understand that, and as it pertains to school, even with economics, a lot of persons tend to even shy away from that subject because I have never done economics, but I've seen a few of the curriculums that fall underneath it, and trust me, it is difficult. So I think that's the reason why many persons may shy away from it. But
Yeah.
why does it have to be like that? Because the easier ones, well, yeah, the easier ones, they are not. They're just there. But the one that is that will actually help you, in life, it's
Yeah.
extremely hard. Why is it that way?
I can tell you this, mathematics and economics are two of the easiest subjects in the world. But they were deliberately made complex and convoluted in order to dissuade you from pursuing them. Most Jamaicans fail mathematics. It's not because it is hard, it's because of the way it is taught. Yeah, it's the way it is taught, it's the way it is documented in the textbooks. If you look at the way mathematics is taught in the Philippines, in Singapore, how do you teach math in Singapore? You teach math from a practical standpoint. So as a baby, as a toddler, you start to learn to play with mathematical things. You play with the shapes, you play with the numbers, and you learn to see math as a practical part of daily life. And so the methodology of teaching is one that causes you to lose all fear of mathematics by the time you get to grade 7 or first form. You then start to develop greater proficiency in seeing the first principles of mathematics and how math relates to economics, to physics, to chemistry, biology. And you start to see those in a way that makes you confident of your skills in math. So for example, in Jamaica, the way we taught the times table was to beat you to say 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and we drill. So we do drills with you. In Singapore, the way you learn to do your times table is you learn to see why 2 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, why 3 times 4 is 12. You get to understand the relationship between addition and multiplication, and understand how that works back to division. So it's very, very practical and pragmatic. So you're not using your rote memory skills so much. You're using your understanding skills, and you're using your relativity skills and your first principle skills. And with that, you emerge now into a very intelligent person. What we have in Jamaica instead are people who are intellectual but don't even know what they're talking about. So they can say the words of things. They can say, you'll meet some people, they can talk a lot, they can say a lot of things, but they don't really understand what they're talking about. They can't produce anything, they can't make anything. That's why if you notice, we're in Jamaica, we're hardly producing any products that are global, that are impacting the global stage. Where we produce is in entertainment, because that is free flowing. That's not taught in school. We innately and as a community just learn and enjoy singing and music and drama. So that comes out of us, out of our experience daily. While the technical things, to be able to understand physics, particle mechanics, the engineering principles that allow you to now take from nature the material and convert it into new things. That is not a part of our teaching. That's not the way our school system trained us. And so because of that, we're weak and we become more of an import nation, and we can't add much value to anything to give out. But the moment we have new leadership that changes the whole dynamics of our education system or governance model, the health of our people, the mental and physical health and social health of our people, you're going to see all the creativity and genius now finding ways to be expressed in new products and services coming out of the Jamaican people.
Well, I guess I'm going to say something, and I guess the audience can agree with me as well. You seem more like a money teacher rather than a money doctor. And this is a free lesson for everyone. And I hope they take what they get in this class and apply it to their daily lives.
Yes. Sorry, I sound more like what?
A money teacher rather than a money doctor.
Money. Well, the truth is, a good doctor, if you have a good doctor, today we don't have good doctors. What they've done, they've taught doctors to simply prescribe medication. A good doctor is one who educates you to take care of your health. So a good doctor helps you to understand not what you should take for this, but how you should live to avoid this. And if you have this, how you should change your habits and behavior to reverse it. Yeah. So if I were to be a medical doctor, I would have several sessions and classes with my patients to help them to bring themselves to health, not for them to take a pharmaceutical drug. Of course, in an emergency situation, like where the damage is so tremendous, they need a quick injection to kind of stop the bleed, and we do that. But then you need to move from that now into how to live to restore your health, not how to live on medications. Because living on medications is simply damaging something else while masking the problem, so you feel you're okay until it breaks again and breaks bigger. What you want to do is to teach the person what to do differently. So as a money doctor, I want to teach people how to effectively manage their money, how to understand money so that they cannot be tricked by anybody. Whether the scammer wears a jacket and tie or the scammer is on wearing his pants dropping off his behind, whether the scammer is elected or unelected, when you understand money, you can see the scammer from afar and know what to do. One of the biggest scams we have in society today is inflation. We all have come to accept it as if it's normal. Inflation is not normal. It's a direct product of bad governance. In other words, it is politicians using your lack of knowledge of money to steal your wealth systematically every month by inflating away your earnings. If we had a proper monetary system, a dollar earned today would have the same value 50 years from now. Meaning, you could simply 10% of your income every month and put it aside, knowing that when you get to age 65, that money will be able to buy the same amount of things and the same quality of things as it did when you were 25 years old. But because they know you don't understand money and don't understand economics, they've been able to systematically, every single month, every single year, steal a few percentage of your money and wipe out your value. Because your money, the money represents your labor, your economic output. So what you have done to earn it is what the dollar should store. So if you earn $1,000 today, that should be a store of your value today. And then later on now, you will be able to draw on that money and still be able to buy the things that you need. So let's go to the audience now and see if we can get some questions from the audience, or maybe read some of the comments and we go from there.
There are actually a few questions, at the start of it, where most persons mentioned the word greed as well. There was a person asking about a book that they want to buy for maybe a child or an offspring.
Sure. So one book, I'm not sure if it's the one I mentioned earlier on, it is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's a good book. A great book for your child, though, is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and have them understand, much of what I'm talking about here. Another great book you can purchase for your family is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's another great book to read. If you're running a company, a great book to purchase is Good to Great, or Bringing Out the Best in People by Daniels, I think his name is. So those are some good books to read if you want to really improve your business or help your child or expand your own knowledge and ability as well.
All right, there's a from Jojo123. It's saying, how do you influence Jamaicans to not take things so personally? This immaturity level needs to be talked about and managed.
Yeah, no, the truth is, Jamaicans, we as Jamaicans, we've been severely psychologically damaged. It's a massive psychological damage that has been done first by the experience of slavery, and then so by the last 78 years under our own people leading us. The damage has been massive in terms of our school system has failed 70% of our students every year, meaning they're leaving school without the core competences, how to reason, how to comprehend, how to analyze, how to communicate. Those are massive failures on biblical proportion in our school system. So when we're dealing with each other, we're not dealing with persons who have their mental acuity well developed. And so we have to be very sensitive and careful in dealing with each other, because at the drop of a button, we can lose it very, very quickly, because we have not learned how to, we're just ignorant. we have limited knowledge, limited awareness, and we're very entitled. So one person put it this way: we're ignorant and arrogant. And that's a powerful key for destruction. When you're ignorant and you're arrogant at the same time. So you don't know that you don't know, but you do know that you know. You understand? So you put that together, it's explosive. So we just have to be careful. Now, the UIC is gradually trying to re-educate the nation. It's very difficult for us because we're doing that with little or no money, because we're not taking money from the big guys from them. They're just going to turn us into the same thing as the other two. So we're depending on, with that little bit of money that you send us, we then try to use that to educate the masses of our people, and through that bring ourselves to a new level where we can transform Jamaica into what it really should be.
Okay, research unit says it's the love of money that's the root of evil, not the money per se. The rationale is that the love of money distracts you from truly serving the Almighty. What do you think about that?
Well, remember earlier on I was explaining that if you understand money and love it, then it couldn't lead to evil. It's because you don't understand that money is a tool, nothing more. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you, this is very important. In Zimbabwe, because of bad governance, bad economic knowledge of the government, they caused a simple thing as a loaf of bread to cost you millions of dollars to buy it. Now, how come we have millions of dollars and it's still not enough to buy a bread? That's because money is nothing. Money is just a tool. And if you use the tool improperly, you're going to get some serious problems. So it's not the love of money, it's the lack of knowledge which causes people to do bad or anything else. Before there was money, there was barter. What were we doing? We were still killing each other when there was no money. What were we killing each other for? We used to plunder each other. We used to go and knock another group on the head and take away their corn. Until somebody said, wait a minute, instead of knocking him on the head and take the corn, why don't we just trade? So I will trade my corn for your sheep. Yeah? You will trade your callaloo for my spliff. Yeah? Whatever, right? So if we realize that money is not the issue, nor the love of it is the issue, because you can't love something if you don't understand it. I'm going to tell you something profound today. I'm going to define love for you. If I were to ask you what is love, you would say all kinds of stuff, all kind of fairy tale stuff, right? But here is love. Now, if you didn't know this before, you would be mistaken as to what love is, and you would have all kind of internal conflicts trying to reconcile love. For example, you might think like love is doing for others that you'd have them do to you, or love is to give of yourself to someone, or love. Now here's love, very, very simple. Love, think about it carefully. Love is to respect the life, liberty, and property rights of others. If you understood that, and if your child was taught that, if every human being was taught that love is to respect the life, liberty, and property rights of others, it would be so clear. Me is to not violate my life, not violate my freedom, and not violate my property. And if I love you, I do the same. Yeah? When we have that kind of love, which is very practical, very basic, all the other stuff, like the romantic part that comes, or the father, son, or mother, daughter, or loving the case may be, those now will be the extra icing on the cake. But the core is to understand love properly. Love is respecting somebody else's rights, the right to their life, the right to their liberty, and the right to their property. In the same way, to love money is to appreciate that it's a tool that allows you to measure and capture the value of your labor and to be able to trade that with other people. Yeah. So the love of money will bring you to admire the invention that has been trade, that has increased the velocity of trade, which has brought wealth and happiness to more people. The root of all evil is when you have dunce people. The lack of knowledge causes you to do horrible things. Many Jamaicans, for example, would kill the person who has created the job for them because they don't see the connection. So let's say a returning resident comes home from foreign, and that person builds a house and makes a garden and whatever, and they hire you, and they're paying you for the service, and then you get jealous and kill them, and then they're gone. The house becomes mash up and everything is mash up. The business that they were running mash up. The 15 people that they hired are now unemployed, and you're unemployed too, and it's done. Some persons cannot see the link because of the lack of knowledge. They can't see the link between doing something stupid and how that will result in their loss. And so they will first cause the loss to happen and then say, whoops, rotted. Now we lose the job. But if they had knowledge, they would not have created the loss because they would have been able to think from cause to effect and link all the pieces and make a sound decision. Take, for example, some people decided they want to take away the UIC from me, not realizing that what they're doing is destroying the opportunity for Jamaica to have a third political movement that will bring the change. Now, they think they're hurting me, but they're really hurting themselves and our country in the process, as opposed to being able to think wisely and say, hold on a second, I may not like this guy's voice, I may not like his haircut, I may not like the way him talk, or I may not like the way him lead, but to go after him in a way that destroys the movement as opposed to simply demonstrating their own competences to lead, they inadvertently rob the Jamaican people, or could rob the Jamaican people, of an alternative that will give them and us a better Jamaica, because they are short-sighted and can't connect the dots from cause to effect. You understand? Sure, let's take all the questions.
Okay, I'm fine. Okay, there's a question about force. Jojo is asking, how will you keep police and soldier forces in Jamaica? There's a lot of corruption in their ranks, and who would you put in charge?
But is that about the police? I didn't hear the first part. Is that the police that we're talking about?
Yeah, she's asking, or he's asking, how will you clean up the police and soldier forces in Jamaica?
Yeah, man. Most of the problems you have in any, let me get an example of how you clean things up, right? If you go into a company, if you go to work for a company that has very poor internal controls, so the controls are weak, very weak controls. So let me give you one example of a control. If a company has inventory, so they sell, it's a hardware store. If they don't separate the person who controls the stock from the person who sells the stock, from the person who collects the money from the customer who pays for the stock, if they don't separate it into proper three functions, separation of duties, the chances of theft is significantly increased. Yeah. You put all of that power in the hands of one person. So the person who controls the stock room also deal with the customer and also cashes out the customer. You have a serious problem. But if you were to put in basic control of separation of duties and such as to how you account for checking out the stock, how you write up the bill of lading or whatever for the customer, and how you have it cashed out, and the recording system, the point of sale system, you can now create checks. Even though all three of them are thief, the stock clerk is a thief if you were to allow him, the salesman on the floor is a thief if you were to allow him, and the cashier is a thief if you were to allow him or her, right? But because you have now changed the system and designed the checks and balances so that all the thieves them have to be careful now, and watch how them do things, you reduce the incidences of theft. And that is how you control corruption in a country. You create proper institutions, proper checks and balances, and this will in turn mitigate the possibility of corruption. Now, of course, you attach proper fines and penalties to persons who, in fact, still try to break the rules. But the checks and balances or controls, plus the penalties you attach to breaking the rules, will bring down the corruption and increase our productivity and prosperity as a nation.
There's also a question. Can we donate using PayPal? I've checked the website, but it only shows for bank or credit card.
Okay, so you can answer that, Madam Treasurer. People how to pay,
Absolutely.
how to donate.
All right, so the website itself, it is connected to the PayPal account for the UIC. So if you sign up on it and you make a payment, it will come to PayPal. But if it's a case where you may be experiencing some issues here and there, you can always go on PayPal and the email address.
Okay, looks like we just lost Miss Williams. Here she comes. Here we go. Go ahead, Miss Williams.
Oh, I just dropped off. Well, what part did I stop?
You dropped off. Well, basically, the answer to your question is yes, you can pay by PayPal. If you go on our website, the site accepts PayPal, it accepts debit cards and credit cards that can pay through that platform. If you are localized to Jamaica, there are bank accounts that are listed. You can send funds to the bank accounts. If you need to send by Western Union, just contact the office and the office will tell you how to do that. The number is on the screen here and also on the website. All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions, Ms. Williams?
No, no.
All right. Well, let me say thanks to all of you for joining us for this episode. I really appreciated the chat. I hope you learned a lot from it, and I hope you will like, subscribe, and share. And please send us a comment, write something so we know what you think. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, make suggestions. We really appreciate all your feedback, whether it's positive or negative. And always share the content with others, because don't assume that they're going to hear it or see it. We're not being allowed to broadcast on traditional media. They're blocking us, generally speaking. So we have to reach all Jamaicans through our social media platforms, and we can only do that with your help. So share, like, comment, and subscribe to UIC Liberty TV. Any last words from you, Ms. Williams?
I actually second everything that you just actually depending on the persons in the audience to be our TV J, to be our news station, to be our radio. So please share the live here, right? So yeah, help us out.
Excellent. And I see somebody is reminding us that we have a goal. Our goal is to get to 1,000 donors giving $25 a month. Of course, you can give any amount you can, but we're trying to get to 1,000 donors giving $25 a month, because then we'll have enough money to help all of our candidates across the 14 parishes to get elected in the next election. Please don't take this lightly. We have a very short time. In no time, it's going to be election. And the truth of the matter is we don't have enough money. At present, we probably have about somewhere between 20 and 30 or 40 persons giving $25 a month. Others are giving $10, $5. Even today, I saw some people giving $100, which is good. Thank you, congratulations. But we need many more. We need 1,000 Jamaicans here at home and abroad to commit to giving 25, the equivalent of 25 US dollars, whether you're in the UK, Canada, or the US, or you're in Germany or Switzerland, because some people are there, or here in Jamaica. Please give your 25 US dollars or equivalent every month so that we'll have the funds to hit the ground. Coming shortly, we're going to St. Thomas. We're doing a rally there, some town hall meetings. Then we're going to Portland, I believe, and to St. Mary, St. Anne, all the way, all 14 parishes. But we need the money to do that. I think the typical cost for any one of these events is about 500,000 Jamaican dollars if we're going to do it properly. So if all of us chip in, if every one of us gave the equivalent of 25 US dollars a month or any amount, if you can set up your thing and say, I'm going to give $5 a month or $10 a month or $50 or 100, please do so. But on average, we need to have 1,000 persons giving $25 a month, and you will be a part of creating a new Jamaica. Every dollar you give is a vote for good governance, is a vote for the UIC, is a vote for a better Jamaica. Thank you very much. Have a good night until we talk again. Take care.
Good night.
Good night. One Jamaica.
Stronger together.
Absolutely. One Jamaica. Stronger together. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. All the best.